How's it going, everyone? Today is Saturday, February 27th. Today is going to be the tip of the day for dog food. Today we're going to talk about binders. Binders are what dog food companies... Hey, get away from that. By the way, this is my dog Zella, sorry. We're going to be dealing with her in a second. Binders are something that dog food companies use to actually make the kibble a piece of dog food, a whole round piece of kibble. So a lot of the times what we're finding in dog foods is we're finding corn, we're finding starches, wheat, sorghum, anything that pea protein, rice, garbanzo beans, millet, oatmeal, pearled barley, anything along the lines of those. The bad thing about most of the binders is they're going to be very high in carbohydrates. So most of them are going to be considered a starch. Potato is a big one, very high in carbohydrates. And where I'm going with this is when I'm talking about carbohydrates is if we're having dogs that are having problems with yeast infections, where we're having buildup of black odorous stuff inside the ears, chances are that is a telltale sign of a yeast infection. And anytime we're dealing with a dog food that has a binder that is the byproduct is producing a carbohydrate that's turning into a sugar and then again feeding that yeast infection. So most likely you would want to go to a grain-free food in that situation. So that's going to be the dog food tip of the day. Look for telltale signs. Does your dog have black odorous residue inside its ears, black spots on the belly, anything around the chin? Those are going to be pretty big signs that most likely those are yeast infections. And probably a good test for you to do would to try a grain-free food for a month and just see if the yeast infection responds and goes away. But most likely with dogs, what people are going to do is they're going to do process of elimination. So they're going to come to me with an issue. They're going to say, hey, what's going on? I'm going to address the issue by just switching the diet, looking what the dog is currently eating and seeing where the issue may lie. Take some of those ingredients out and see how the dog responds. Sometimes we'll see response immediately, sometimes we won't. But anyways, that's today's tip. If you have any other questions about that, you can just hit me up on Facebook. This is going to be posted to YouTube, so there's going to be a link. You can go ahead and comment below. But I figured I would do something fun since I've talked a lot about raw food, and I know people are skeptical, and there's this urban legend that you're not supposed to give dogs chicken bones. The thing is dogs are 98.9% wolf, so that means that their DNA in their intestinal tract, their insides are identical to a wolf. Wolves eat raw in the wild. Dogs are ovulatory carnivores, just like cats are, and so you're going to want to feed them the diet that God intended and something that was biologically appropriate. You never want to give a dog cooked anything. So, with that being said, anytime you cook a bone, it changes the molecular structure of the bone becomes hard, and then when the dog goes to bite it, it cracks, breaks, and splinters, and then that's where we have the issue of dogs swallowing the chicken bone and then getting a splinter caught in its throat, and then we're dealing with a very serious situation. So with that being said, I figured what I would do is I have my dog Zella, come here, sit, come here, turn around. So this is Zella, sit. She's 7 years old. She is a purebred German Shepherd. Her bloodlines are imported from Germany. You can tell that she's fairly small. She was the runt of her litter. I want to say she weighs in roughly around 64 pounds. She's a beautiful dog. We started her on raw food, and we kept her on raw food for a long period of time. Now we are feeding a different food, and it's a dry food, but it's one that I definitely feel very, very comfortable with and I like. But she still gets raw every once in a while, and so just to show you guys that dogs can eat raw food and actually consume the bone and all, I'm going to feed her an organic Draper Valley chicken thigh. So here's the package right here. Hasn't even been opened. I just bought it at Super One. She's all about this. So we'll go ahead, dig into this package here, and see what happens. So, no, sit. So just so you can see, Zella, stay. So you can see there's a bone right there. That's a full-on bone, skin, and then the rest is meat. But I've given her turkey necks. I mean, I've given her all kinds of stuff, and it's not a problem. And all dogs have the capability of crushing through bones, so I don't want anyone to think, oh, well, it's because he has a German Shepherd. My dad has King Charles Cavaliers, and they can go through this just as easy. So, you know, you probably just want to give them a smaller size. This is proportionate to her, but I wouldn't want to give this to a King Charles Cavalier per se. I'd probably want to cut it in half, something like that. So, all right, Zella, eat that. Go on, eat it. Eat that. Eat it. Eat it. So you can hear she just crushed right through the bone there, and she's just eating it. She hasn't had raw in a long time, so it's not that she's resilient or hesitant, but I just think that she probably doesn't really know what's going on out here with the camera, or that I'm making a video or anything of that nature. So anyways, yeah, we're watching you eat. So we'll go ahead and we'll watch her consume this. It'll probably take her just, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes tops, and it'll be consumed. So I'll go ahead and talk about this a little bit. Dogs actually have a very high acidity level within their stomachs, so they can neutralize bacteria. Because in the wild, wolves and dogs alike, or even if a dog actually turns feral at some point and converts back to its instincts of being a wild animal, it's going to look for any type of prey that it can take down and kill. But one thing about dogs and cats that is kind of not uncommon when they're eating raw is the fact that cats like to have fresh meat that basically is room temperature, like the blood's still going through it, and so it's like they just killed the prey, where a dog is a scavenger. So a dog will not only kill an animal and hunt an animal, but they don't always have the opportunity to actually go out in the wild and find a herd of elk that they can take down on a daily basis. And dogs actually have the capability to fast for that reason, but there's a lot of times where they might encounter animals that have died of either old age or fallen off, you know, a cliff, or I mean, who knows? You know, there's a lot of different random factors out there in the wild that could have happened to grazing animals, or, you know, I mean, even another wolf perhaps. So if dogs are hungry enough and the meat is not too rotten and they feel it's consumable, they will eat it. A majority of a dog's diet does come from the bone marrow, and the intestinal tract when we're dealing with a raw diet, and that's just because that's where our most nutrient dense portion of the animal is. High levels of protein, but lots of vitamins and minerals there as well. So anyways, needless to say, she'll be able to go ahead and eat this and be completely fine. I've done this with her several times and never had any issues. I wouldn't recommend starting out with any big, so it's gone, completely consumed, probably even less than the 2-minute mark that I was talking about. But anyways, one thing that I do want to say about going back to binders is, we're going to take a little step back here, babe, and continue on. Alright, so one thing I want to continue to say about binders is not all binders are bad. Garbanzo beans are excellent, super low in carbohydrate. I mean, probably one of the best or better options for picking a binder is an ingredient in your dog food. Not only that, any carbohydrate that's brown, so brown rice, steel cut oats, pearled barley, anything that has a high fiber that's not just going to hang out and sit in the body and find a comfortable place and just turn into fat and make your dog lethargic and overweight. So with that being said, thanks for watching the video, and if you have any other questions or comments, go ahead and hit me up.